Today, I will be quickly going over my case study of an app that I developed that would help people learn DIY skills at their own convenience. When creating this product, I realized that there are a lot of problems associated with learning your own skills on the internet. Although there's lots of videos and lots of resources, it's very tough to determine whether or not the people you are learning from are actual experts. And when you have problems, it can be very difficult to find the actual solutions if you have a problem that isn't a very basic one. And so there's no way to contact the people that you are learning from. To solve this issue, I created an app that not only would teach people DIY skills, but it would also feature authentic, process-vetted experts who the users can reach out to and talk to either via email or by instant chat. The tools I used was Miro, Figma, PowerPoint, Adobe Photoshop, Helio, and Google Suite. I was the only one working on it, so I did the design, the research, and the UI components. The process that I went through is the UX design process. The first step was user research. I wanted to see what people were actually doing and how they felt about a potential product like this. I interviewed 8 different people with 12 open-ended questions. These questions range from what skills do they have, how comfortable do they feel, and what would their budget constraints be to have an app like this. The findings were that most people had at least one major problem per year. And that we're talking plumbing, electrical, weather, something along those lines. For small repairs, majority of people felt like they took care of them or their spouse did. But very few of them felt comfortable taking care of those large issues without having somebody there with them. The main places they learned were from either friends or family or YouTube. And they felt that they wouldn't really want to pay too much for an app like this if they could learn it for free from YouTube. But the idea that you would have a certified expert who they could contact at any time, that was very appealing to them. Once I determined the problems and the user needs, I created personas to get a deeper understanding of our users' goals, needs, and experiences. So when I created the project, or when I created the app, I would have a guide to determine what choices to make and what things to feature. The two that I created were Cameron Williamson, who is recently married, who wants to figure out how to do new DIY skills with her husband to renovate their brand new house that they bought. The other one is Greg Foreman. Greg Foreman is a single father of 3 daughters. He would love to learn how to do these DIY skills to save money, but also to teach his daughters some valuable skills that they would need. Once that was created, I worked on the informational architecture. I wanted to make sure it was very user-friendly, it flowed nicely, and people could accomplish the tasks they needed to. By testing these out, I determined the best way to set up the user flow and also identified several friction points that will be able to eliminate it based on these tests. One of the tests I did was card sorting. This allowed me to make my user flows and to determine what categories were needed based on the similarities of what people thought. After I determined the card sorting activities and what categories I needed, I determined 2 user task flows, ones that I want to see somebody do and test those out. And so the first one that I did was they had to go and they had to contact an actual expert. This is one of the main features of my product. And so I want to see how they would do it, how they would actually get to that point. And it was discovered that most people would go to the product version first, the product part of the app, and then from the product, from the project part, then they'd go and try to find the expert. Where I had envisioned that they'd go through the expert to contact them. And so what I did was I made it possible for someone to go through projects. Once they're in the projects, then they could go to the contacting the expert. The other app I had, or the other task I had them was to learn how to repair something. And so the problem is with this one that I discovered is when they went to go learn one, they weren't sure where to search for it. Would they look for it in the home page or would they go to projects? Because I had a search bar that was on the home page. So all I did was eliminate that search bar, and then people realized that they could just go to this project page and search for it there. Using these two ideas and the card sorting, I was able to create an updated version of my user site map. Once I had that, it was time to do my wireframes and prototypes. Once I had my first sketches, I started to translate them to mid-fidelity phototypes. This is an example of one of them. This would be my home page. I wanted to have features of trending videos, trending experts, and I wanted them to be able to click a button just to go to right to where they needed to. But when I created these, I needed to figure out whether or not users would use them correctly, where would the friction points be, and are there any modifications that could be made when determining how to create my high fidelity phototypes. So the first thing I did was I created some user tasks afterwards. I needed them to sign up, choose a product, and contact an expert. So it's very similar to what they did last time, but this is with the high fidelity product to see if there are any glitches in there. I had 6 different people do it, and from them I watched them go through the project, complete the task, and I asked them questions. I gathered the data through observations, positive things that they told about it, negative things, and some errors that they caught. From there, I was able to determine what things needed to be fixed and what things did not. So here's one example of an issue. Search for expert or project under expert project homepages doesn't make sense. If they're on the expert page, they'd be searching for experts. So they were having trouble figuring out how to contact the expert. And so I changed the search options to only experts in the expert page and only products on the project page. So when they went to search for things, they didn't search for an expert on the project page. And there are more of these issues here if you want to read through them. Next, I wanted to try A/B testing. There was a simple word that was used that wasn't quite right. And so I wanted to test out which version or which vocabulary word would be the right one to do to learn how to book an expert. And so I had book it, and then I also had chat. It was determined that option 1, or variation A, was more acceptable. Even though it wasn't clear, for just this small version of it, it was determined that one of them was favorable over the other. Once that was all completed, my last step was to change the design to make it look appealing. The UI, the user interface, was the last part of my project. And this is where I took my high fidelity wireframes and prototypes and turned them into what the final product is. As you can see, here are the final product that I have created. You have fixing a sync, so you have your videos. You can chat, just similar to YouTube, where you can ask questions, you can reply, you can talk to the expert by email or chatting, your homepage, your payment plans. Everything is here, how to book a meeting, and this is the final version of what I have created. So thank you for checking out my product, and if you want to work with me, feel free to contact.